The journey begins with these raw doré bars, unrefined and rugged, waiting to be transformed into the purest standard of global wealth today. Intense heat becomes our primary tool, replacing the scissors edge as we subject the rough metal to temperatures exceeding over 1,000 degrees. Inside the crucible, the solid form surrenders, turning into a shimmering liquid that glows with a dangerous and mesmerizing bright orange fire. Impurities rise to the surface like unwanted scraps, allowing our master refiners to skim them away with practiced and steady, careful hands. This purification stage is critical, ensuring that every single ounce retains the integrity required for the financial markets and bank vaults worldwide. We introduce specific chemical agents, now a delicate recipe that binds to base metals, leaving only the noble gold atoms behind here. The liquid metal moves through the induction furnace, swirling in a rhythmic dance that mixes the alloy to a perfect, consistent homogeneity. Samples are drawn frequently, small glowing ladles of proof taken to the lab to verify that we are reaching 4 nines purity. Once the assay confirms the quality, we prepare for the pour, a moment where timing and temperature must align with absolute precision. The molds are prepared with a carbon coating, a dark canvas, ready to receive the brilliant stream of molten value and light. The pouring arm tilts slowly, guiding the heavy viscous stream into the cast iron molds with a steady and unwavering controlled flow. Gravity does the work of the needle here, settling the liquid into the iconic rectangular shape that the world recognizes as bullion. Steam rises as the metal hits the mold, a hiss of thermal shock marking the transition from chaotic liquid to solid asset. As the bars cool, the surface begins to crystallize, forming unique patterns that vanish as the gold settles into its final mirror finish. We quench the hot bars in water, a sudden cooling process that locks in the structure and cleans the surface of oxidation. Each bar is lifted from the tank, dripping wet and heavy, representing a concentrated fortune that feels incredibly dense in the hand. The rough edges are smoothed down, ensuring the dimensions meet the strict delivery specifications required by international commodity exchanges and private banks. We weigh every single bar on high-precision electronic scales, recording the mass down to the thousandth of a troy ounce for accuracy. The surface must be flawless, free of cracks or cavities, presenting a smooth face ready for the stamping of the refinery seal. This blank canvas of pure gold is now ready for the final marks of identity, certifying its weight, purity, and origin story. The hydraulic press descends right now, applying immense force to permanently imprint the refinery's emblem deep into the soft, warm, yielding yellow metal. We act like a tailor stitching a label, but here we use hardened steel dies to engrave the purity and the unique serial number. This step is irreversible and definitive, marking the bar's identity forever in a language that is understood by bankers and traders everywhere. The distinct sound of metal striking metal echoes in the hall, a rhythmic percussion that signifies the completion of the bar's physical form. We inspect the depth of the strike, immediately ensuring that every character is legible and sharp against the smooth background of the gold. We move to the polishing station, where the rough industrial finish is buffed away to reveal the true luster hidden underneath the surface. Soft cloths and fine abrasives caress the metal, removing microscopic imperfections that occurred during the cooling and handling stages of the process today. The transformation is striking as the dull matte finish gives way to a brilliant mirror-like reflection that catches every single ray of light. It is not just about aesthetics here, but about creating a surface that resists tarnish and maintains its value over decades of storage. We treat these heavy bars with the same delicacy one might handle fine silk, respecting the immense concentration of labor and capital involved. The sound of the bars stacking is solid and dull, a heavy thud that speaks to the incredible density of this precious element. Workers wear protective gloves to prevent oils from the skin from marring the perfect finish we have worked so hard to achieve today. We are assembling a reserve of wealth, organizing these individual units into pallets that represent millions of dollars in a compact physical space. Each bar is a standalone masterpiece, but together they form the bedrock of financial security for nations and private investors around the globe. The visual continuity is essential, so we ensure that every bar in the batch matches the others in tone, texture, and precise dimension. We verify the serial numbers against our digital database, linking the physical object to its digital certificate of authenticity and ethical sourcing records. This digital tether is the modern thread that binds the physical craftsmanship to the global market, ensuring total transparency for the eventual buyer. The cleaning process concludes with a final wipe, removing any lingering dust particles that might have settled during the stamping and stacking phase. The gold now looks liquid, even though it is solid, a frozen moment of purity that captivates the eye with its deep yellow hue. We prepare the secure vault carts lined with soft felt to cradle the metal, moving the finished product toward the final quality check. The quality control manager steps in, now wearing white cotton gloves to perform the final visual audit of these heavy gleaming yellow bars. We scrutinize the corners and edges, looking for any sharp burrs or irregularities that might disrupt the perfect geometry of the minted bullion. We use ultrasound technology here to peer inside the metal, ensuring there are no hidden air pockets or voids trapped beneath the surface. This is the equivalent of checking the seam strength, verifying that the bar is solid gold through and through with no internal weakness. A tiny sample shaving is sometimes taken from the side, a sacrificial piece used to scientifically confirm the purity one last time today. The laboratory results must match the stamp on the face exactly, or the bar is immediately rejected and sent back to the furnace. We check the clarity of the serial number, ensuring that the digitizing scanner can read the code without any hesitation or manual error. Light is reflected off the surface to detect micro scratches, the kind that are invisible to the naked eye but unacceptable to our standards. Perfection is the only passing grade here, as even a minor blemish on the finish can affect the premium value of the product. The weight is verified on a scale isolated from vibrations, measuring to a degree of accuracy that detects the weight of a fingerprint. We ensure the logo is centered and crisp, the branding that carries the reputation of our entire refinery into the global bullion market. This inspection is a silent and rigorous process, a final barrier that prevents anything less than excellence from leaving this secure, quiet room. The rejected bars are not wasted, but they are marked for remelting, beginning the cycle of fire and purification all over again today. For the approved bars, the journey continues as we prepare the documentation that will accompany them across oceans and into high security vaults. We treat the paperwork with the same care as the metal, for the certificate is the legal soul of this heavy physical body. The inspector signs off on the batch, a human guarantee that validates the mechanical precision and chemical purity we have engineered right here. There is a sense of satisfaction in seeing the rows of flawless metal, a tangible representation of discipline and uncompromising industrial art standards. The bars sit in formation on the table, a golden army waiting to be deployed into the complex world of finance and trade. We wipe the surface one last time, removing any dust that settled during the inspection, ensuring the customer sees only their own reflection. The product is now technically finished, but it must be dressed for delivery, moving us to the final stage of protective packaging right now. We move the finished bars to the packaging line, where custom foam inserts await to cradle the heavy metal during its long transit today. We do not use standard cardboard here. Instead, we employ reinforced polymer cases designed to withstand the immense density and dead weight of gold. The bar slides into the fitted recess with a satisfying resistance, ensuring it will not shift or rattle inside the case during transport. We apply a tamper-evident security seal across the opening, a sophisticated sticker that will show immediate visual evidence if anyone attempts to open it. The assay card acts like a passport tucked alongside the bar, carrying the matching serial number and the signature of the chief assayer today. The packaging is designed to be understated yet secure, hiding the blinding glare of the treasure inside while offering maximum physical protection for it. We group these individual cases into larger master boxes, strapping them down tight so the sheer mass of the gold does not break them. Heavy wooden crates are brought in now, reinforced with steel bands, ready to take the load of 40 or 50 bars at a time. Security protocols intensify as the product becomes a shipment, with dual control procedures required to seal the final crate before it leaves the secure floor. We weigh the entire crate on a massive industrial scale, verifying that the gross weight matches the sum of the individual bars exactly right. Anonymous barcodes are applied to the exterior wood, stripping away any indication of the high-value contents to protect the shipment during its transit. There is a quiet finality in the room as the last crate is sealed, marking the end of our physical stewardship over this gold. Armored transport teams arrive at the loading bay, their presence a reminder of the real-world danger and value attached to what we create here. What started as dusty rock and raw ore is now a refined financial instrument ready to sit in the dark silence of a vault. We have concentrated the labor of mining and the science of refining into a dense yellow brick that holds its value against all inflation. This bar might remain in a vault for 100 years or be melted down tomorrow to become jewelry, but today it is perfect. It is a triumph of chemistry and engineering, a simple element forced into a perfect shape by human will and extreme thermal energy handling. The lights in the factory reflect off the polished floors, mirroring the shine of the metal that has just left our care for the world. Tomorrow, the furnaces will roar to life again, melting the next batch of ore, continuing the endless cycle of creating the world's standard currency. From the earth to the fire and finally to the box, this is the art of making something that outlasts civilizations and defines wealth. The trucks depart, but inside the refinery, a second quiet harvest begins, focused on recovering the invisible wealth hidden in the dust and floors. We treat the very air in this room as an asset, pulling it through massive filters that trap microscopic particles of floating yellow gold dust. Even the sandpaper used to polish the bars is saved, meticulously collected in sealed bins to be incinerated and processed for its precious content. This is the circular economy of noble metals, where absolute zero waste is not just an environmental goal, but a strict financial necessity for us. We look at the crucibles now coated in residue and carefully scrape down the ceramic walls to reclaim every gram of the solidified splash. The floor mats are pulled up and vacuumed with industrial suction, for the dirt on a refinery floor is richer than most high-grade mines. We process these sweepings in a separate, smaller furnace, a specialized reduction burn that separates the ash from the tiny beads of recovered metal. It is a dirty, gritty job compared to the shining bars, but this reclamation accounts for a significant percentage of our total annual yield. The chemistry lab plays a vital role here, analyzing the gray ash to determine exactly how much gold is hiding within the burnt carbon. We use strong acids in the wet chemical process, dissolving the trash materials to leave behind a brown mud that is actually pure gold. This brown powder is dried and melted, transforming miraculously back into the bright yellow metal that we recognize ready to join the main line. Nothing is ever truly lost here, only temporarily misplaced or changed in form, waiting for the fire to restore it to its noble state. The master refiner inspects the recovery log, calculating the efficiency of the day to ensure the mass balance equation sums to zero variance today. We wash the heavy aprons in a special solution, capturing the flakes that embedded themselves in the fabric during the pouring and polishing shifts. Water used in the cooling tanks is filtered and treated, ensuring not a single atom of the product washes away into the city drains. Security cameras watch this cleaning process just as closely as the vault, for the waste containers hold a fortune in unrefined raw potential value. We mix this recovered material with fresh grain for tomorrow, blending the old with the new to create the next batch of investment-grade bars. The silence returns to the production floor as the machines cool down, the induction coils ceasing their hum for a few short hours tonight. Our tools are cleaned and aligned on the racks, the ladles and tongs resting like surgical instruments, waiting for the next operation to begin. This relentless attention to detail, even in the cleanup, defines the difference between a simple factory and a world-class accredited precious metals refinery. A new challenge arrives at the receiving dock today, a chaotic mix of old jewelry and industrial scrap, waiting for its ultimate fire redemption. We act as historians and destroyers, here taking objects with sentimental pasts and stripping them down to their bare, cold, elemental financial value. The sorting process is manual and tactile, separating the 14-karat chains from the dental gold and the heavy, complex industrial electronic waste. This is the dirty side of the business, where we must remove the precious stones, the tiny clasps, and the steel springs manually. We throw this varied mix into the preliminary furnace, a chaotic melt that smokes and hisses as the complex alloys are burned away. The result is a rough, ugly bar we call the green gold, a sample that is homogeneous but still far from pure yet. We drill into this rough bar to take a sample, sending it to the X-ray fluorescence machine for a quick initial spectral scan. This technology tells us exactly what we bought, revealing the percentage of silver, copper, and platinum hiding inside the heavy yellow mass. It is a gamble without the science, but with our equipment, we can calculate the yield to the penny before refining actually starts. The chemical refining cells await this feedstock, where we use electricity and strong electrolytes to separate the gold atom by single gold atom. This is the slow method, taking days instead of hours, but it produces the legendary 5/9 purity used for high-end technology. Inside the tank, the gold migrates from the impure anode to the pure cathode, building up slowly like coral on a silent reef. The result is not a bar, but gold crystals, fragile and beautiful structures that look like glittering sand or fallen yellow autumn leaves. We wash these crystals with distilled water, handling them with glass scoops because metal tools might contaminate the ultra-high purity level attained. These crystals are the raw material for the most exclusive applications, from aerospace connectors to the tiny bonding wires in your smartphone. Drying the crystals requires gentle heat, turning the wet sand into a free-flowing powder that pours like a heavy, dry yellow liquid. We measure this grain into specific portions for the casting department, who will turn it into the small investment bars typical people buy. The grain allows for precise weight control, as we can add or subtract a single tiny granule to hit the exact target. It is a different discipline than the large bullion bars, requiring the dexterity of a jeweler rather than the strength of ironsmiths. The small kilns are heated up, ready to receive the grain and melted into the 1-ounce sizes for the retail markets. We switch methods now, feeding the clean gold into the rolling mills to flatten the metal into a long, continuous, perfectly calibrated strip. The rollers apply tons of pressure, compressing the grain structure and extending the length while maintaining a thickness tolerance of mere microns today. It emerges as a golden ribbon winding onto spools like heavy fabric, ready to be cut into the precise shapes required for minting. The blanking press acts like a powerful cookie cutter, punching out hundreds of rectangular discs per minute with a rhythmic and deafening mechanical thud. The leftover webbing is collected immediately to be remelted, while the fresh blanks tumble into a bin, looking like dull, flat, heavy yellow coins. These blanks are work hardened by the pressure, so we must anneal them in a specialized furnace to soften the internal crystal structure once again. Heat relaxes the metal, returning it to a malleable state that will accept the intricate details of the master die without cracking or splitting. We tumble the softened blanks in polishing media, removing any sharp edges and preparing the surface to become a mirror of absolute perfection soon. The minting press is the heart of this operation, striking the blank with hundreds of tons of force in a fraction of a second. Metal flows like liquid under this instantaneous pressure, filling the deepest recesses of the die to capture every line of the artwork in relief. The result is a sharp, frosted image sitting against a mirror polished field, a level of detail that the poured bars could never hope to achieve. We inspect these minted bars under high magnification, looking for the proof quality finish that collectors and investors demand for their premium purchase price. Tweezers are used here, never hands, as we place the flawless 1-ounce bars onto the conveyor that leads directly to the automated packaging line. Robots pick up the gold with vacuum suction cups, placing them gently into the pre-formed pockets of the tamper-proof security assay cards right now. A clear protective film is heat-sealed over the top, locking the bar in a suspended state of preservation, safe from air and moisture forever. This blister pack serves as both armor and certificate, carrying the technical data and the serial number that matches the laser engraving on the rim. The speed here is blinding compared to the casting floor, producing thousands of units an hour to feed the insatiable global retail appetite today. These small bars are the democratized form of the metal, allowing individuals to own a piece of the same standard held by central banks. We box them in batches of 25, creating dense bricks of packaged wealth that are easy to stack, transport, and trade in any country. From the massive rolling mills to the delicate blister packs, the minting wing represents the intersection of heavy industry and fine art precision manufacturing. We enter the sanctuary of the laboratory now, where chemistry and mathematics serve as the ultimate judges of the work done on the factory floor. The fire assay method is ancient yet unbeatable, a standard technique that has remained virtually unchanged for centuries due to its absolute, unwavering accuracy. We weigh a microscopic amount of the drill sample using a balance so sensitive it requires an anti-static shield to prevent air from interfering. This tiny pile of gold dust is wrapped carefully in a sheet of lead foil, a humble packaging for such a critical scientific test. We add a precise amount of silver to the mix, a necessary addition that helps separate the gold during the final stages of analysis. The wrapped samples are placed into porous bone ash cups called coupelles, which are loaded into a specialized furnace, glowing at a fierce orange heat. Inside the inferno, the lead melts and oxidizes, absorbing all the base metal impurities from the sample and sinking into the porous cupel walls. It is a process of sacrificial purification, where the lead takes the contamination away, leaving behind a shining, perfect bead of precious metal alloy. We watch through the tinted glass as the bead brightens, a phenomenon called the flash, signaling the completion of the oxidation process right now. The cupels are removed and cooled, revealing a tiny metallic sphere that contains only the gold and the silver we added at the start. We hammer this bead flat and roll it into a thin coil, increasing the surface area for the acid that will do the work. The coils are dropped into nitric acid, which aggressively attacks and dissolves the silver, but leaves the noble gold structure completely untouched and intact. What remains is a fragile dark sponge of pure gold, which we wash dry and anneal to return it to its characteristic yellow color. We weigh this final residue against the starting weight, a simple ratio that tells us the purity of the bar to 4 decimal places. If the calculation deviates even slightly from the requirement, the entire melt lot on the floor is frozen and retested for absolute certainty today. This lab is the guarantor of our reputation, ensuring that when we say 9999, it is a promise backed by rigorous, repeatable science. We store the duplicate samples in a vault for months, a physical archive that allows us to defend our analysis against any future disputes. The spectrometers hum in the background, providing a digital second opinion, scanning for trace elements that might affect the physical working properties of gold. We check for selenium, tellurium, and iron trace contaminants that can make the gold brittle and unworkable for the jewelers who will buy it. Quality here is not a vague concept, but a specific set of numbers, a data sheet that accompanies the metal on its global journey. The massive steel door swings open on silent hinges, revealing the inner sanctum where the output of our labor finally comes to rest today. Inside the vault, the air is cool and still, a sharp contrast to the heat and noise of the furnace room we just left. Rows of shelving stretch into the distance, laden with pallets that hold the gross domestic product of small nations in a few square meters. This is a library of wealth where every bar has a specific shelf address and a digital record linking it to a specific owner. Forklifts move with electric silence, lifting tons of bullion with ease, arranging the inventory for quick deployment to the major financial capitals of the world. We practice dual control here, strictly meaning no single individual can ever enter or authorize a movement of assets without a partnered witness present. The gold sits here in allocated storage, meaning these specific bars belong to clients who trust us to safeguard their physical property against all risks. While the stock market fluctuates wildly on screens outside in here, the value is tangible, heavy, and absolutely immune to digital deletion or power failure. An order arrives from a central bank, triggering a retrieval process that is as precise as a surgery and as secure as a military operation. We locate the specific pallet tag, verifying the batch number against the release order to ensure the correct assets are prepared for immediate transport today. The bars are transferred to the secure airlock, a neutral zone where custody is formally handed over from the refinery to the logistics carrier. Armored guards wait on the other side of the glass, armed and ready to assume the liability for the journey across the city streets. We exchange cryptographic digital signatures and biometric scans, a modern ritual that authorizes the physical opening of the bay doors for the loading to begin. The weight of the shipment is confirmed one last time, the scales acting as the final arbiter before the metal leaves our sovereign territory. Seeing the truck suspension sink under the load is a reminder of the sheer density that we have processed and packaged for this delivery. The heavy doors of the truck slam shut, sealing the cargo in a mobile vault that will not stop until it reaches the airport. We watch the vehicle depart via the monitors tracking its GPS signal until it clears the perimeter zone and merges into the public traffic flow. Our responsibility ends only when the digital receipt confirms arrival, completing the chain of custody that began with the raw ore entering the furnace. The vault is quieter now, but soon the next shift's production will arrive to fill the empty space on the steel racks once again. It is a constant flow of value, a river of gold that passes through our hands but never actually sticks to our fingers here. This metal will travel to India for weddings, to Switzerland for banking, and to New York for trading, connecting the world through value. It is the only element that does not rust or decay, remaining as pure in 1,000 years as it is this very moment. We have taken the chaotic geology of the earth and disciplined it into a standard form that is recognized by every culture on earth. Behind the induction furnaces and the hydraulic presses, there is still the steady hand of the craftsman, ensuring that the quality never wavers. As the shift ends, we sweep the floors one last time, treating the dust with the same respect as the bars in the vault. The crucibles cool down slowly in the dark, cracking and settling, waiting for the intense thermal shock of the next morning melt to begin. We are merely the custodians of this material, shaping it for a brief moment before it continues its eternal journey through human history today. The stamp we place on the bar is our promise, a guarantee that holds weight long after the original transaction has been forgotten by us. There's a profound weight to this work, both physically in the heavy bars and metaphorically in the trust the world places in us. We convert the abstract concept of financial value into a cold, hard, beautiful reality that you can hold in the palm of your hand. Firewater, acid, and pressure have all done their work, stripping away the non-essential to reveal the noble core that was always hiding there. In a world of digital fleeting signals, this yellow metal remains the ultimate analog anchor, a physical truth that cannot be edited or deleted. The final product is more than just a commodity. It is a mirror reflecting the immense effort and precise science required to create it. It will outlast the factory that made it and the banker that bought it, sitting silently in the dark while the world changes outside. We turn off the inspection lights, leaving the facility in the capable hands of the security team who watch over the sleeping fortune tonight. The smell of ozone and graphite lingers in the air, the industrial perfume of a place where matter is transformed by heat and will. From the rough mine shaft to the polished vault shelf, the journey of gold is a testament to human obsession with purity and permanence. We take pride in being the bridge between the raw earth and the refined economy, executing our craft with silence and absolute precision daily. The ingot is complete, the paperwork is signed, and the vault is locked, concluding our part in the story of this eternal precious metal. This is the standard of the world, forged in fire and stamped with honor, ready to endure as the ultimate store of tangible wealth.